Hello, this is OverLordBou, and today I'm with SAT Score, and we'll be talking about the new submarine and super battleship devblog that was just announced. These updates look very, very interesting, and we're gonna do a quick look at them today. So, SAT Score, where do you think we should start at today?
So, submarines are mentioned first in the dev block, and I know a lot of people are looking forward to seeing subs in the game, so we'll start with that first. From the information they've given us, it looks like they've quite overhauled the submarine. So we'll start with the couple of changes. They replaced the oxygen beater with a battery charge, added anti-sub capabilities to the battleships and cruisers, and changed the diving mechanics for the subs. They haven't elaborated too much on many of the mechanics, so we can only give some generalized thoughts. So the most interesting part is what follows. They said battery power is limited in duration and cannot be normally recharged, and we're expecting the battery to allow the subs to dive for about 5 to 11 minutes per battle. If the sub's detected, then the battery charge is expended faster. So I find this to be very interesting. That means subs will only be able to dive for a relatively short amount of time during the battle. So it's kind of more of a stealth mechanic rather than being integral to the ship. The way I see it is Wargaming is trying to make the submarine stay on the surface a lot longer, and so they limit their ability to dive. So what do you think, Bo?
I think that the fact that it's 5 to 11 minutes isn't a super bad thing, but at the same time, you think about it this way. During the last submarine test, the detectability of subs are around 5 kilometers on the surface, while, or 4.5 for some, depending upon the nation, of course. The aircraft spotting for them was around 1.8 kilometers or 1.2, like almost nothing. So a plane would have to be almost on top of them for them to be spotted. And the fact is that with that small detectability, subs don't really need to be underwater, for that long in a match, because with that small detectability, they can be on the surface in a cap and not be spotted. Now, the problem is, though, you have to deal with radar. So if there is a radar, though, then yes, they'll have to dive and to stop being detected by the radar. And the thing is, they also have to deal with sonar as well. So if they're underwater or on the surface, sonar isn't going to help them. But if they're dealing with radar, being underwater will help them with that circumstance. Now, they did make it where destroyers can no longer, with the hydrophones, so destroyers can no longer detect where subs are. Now, I think that this is an important move by World of Warships, because if you think about it this way, they're limiting how long the subs are underwater. Then they're removing the ability for them to, destroyers can no longer permanently figure out where they're with hydrophones. Now, this is very important because that means that a good player can technically sneak through their lines. If they did the spotting early enough, they know there's no sonar or radar, they can sneak behind their forces and potentially do sneak attacks from behind if it's played well enough. So them adding that made it where, okay, well, I know where the sub is at all times, to where, okay, it's more of a stealth game. They have to rely more on sonar.
I'm just thinking they're trying to make the sub play more like a surface ship, just with the ability to dive, substituting smoke or heal for its defensive consumable.
That can also be true, but I feel like they're going to make it where the duration's longer than that. And with the new linear spotting mechanic, where once it starts diving, they can still be spotted for a certain time, even though they're underneath the 2-meter limit, where usually in the last testing it made it completely invisible. I think that this is going to be very interesting to play. I've always been interested in submarines, and I think that they've gone a long way from when the subs first came out into now. To now, I feel like the submarines are in a good place to where they're not overpowered, but they're also not underwhelming. But at the same time, though, we have to wait and see, of course, because we haven't been able to play it yet. I've also seen some pictures of the new world, of the underwater world for subs, that looks really cool. I'm definitely excited to explore that as well. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. And they're also adding in new skills for submarines, and they're also adding in new skills for anti-submarine capabilities for commanders as well, which I think is really cool.
We weren't given much information except that it's gonna probably happen in the devblog, so that we'll have to comment on later. Now, the second part about the subs I also find very interesting. So instead of making their own mode, they're actually going to introduce subs into ranked in order to get the testing data they need. I'm going to expect a lot of players to be kind of unhappy with this, especially since ranked is notorious for generating salt. And then you add on make it a test bed for your new class. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be angry. What do you think, Bo?
So, I had a discussion with this on one of my streams recently where someone came in is like, why the hell are they adding submarines to ranked? And it's quite a simple answer if you think about it. So number one, they need people to test the subs. So they're relying on us. Two, they want to have it more in a more competitive environment because ranked is supposedly the more competitive game mode than randoms. You're supposed to communicate more. It's a smaller group of people, which means that each ship has a higher impact in the match. So I feel like that they're adding the subs into ranked with this fact that there's less players in the match, which means the submarines are going to be able to have more effect in the game. So they're trying to see how it first goes in a more competitive mode, and then they'll see how it goes in randoms. And the thing is like, oh, why don't they put it in its own mode? Well, they've tried that already, and people played it for a few days and then got bored. So people play ranked because of the steal. So they're hoping that people will play ranked, still get the steal, and also try out subs as well, which I think it's a win-win. It keeps them out of randoms, but it also makes it where like it gets tested, even though like, yes, it is kind of irritating, but they're trying to test it in the public sector rather than keep it like private with super testers, which I've always been like, why don't they just super test this stuff in the private servers? But the thing is, most likely they just don't have the resources to do that, and they would rather just test it on the public servers. So in the end, it's either they have their own game mode, the subs don't get properly tested, and then they get released and they're broken. Or two, they get put into ranked and they're tested properly with the amount of players that play ranked, and they're more balanced than they would be. So even though the people would be more salty, the end product is going to be a more balanced class, in my opinion. I think be more balanced in the end.
That's the goal, but I just wonder how many people are not going to be happy with seeing subs ruining their ranked games. Especially since no one, especially on the first few days of testing, no one's going to know how to play subs. And since there's already a lot of people who complain about teammates in ranked, now you have another teammate to complain about.
Yep, exactly. It's going to be a hellhole for the first few days for sure. So what about the next further plans? So after subs, what is the next thing they decided to add?
So the second part of the devblog is Super Battleships. They're basically saying there's going to be a new event with Super Battleships being put in. The two battleships are Satsuma, a project based on Yamato with increased main caliber guns. They're giving it 8 510mm guns. You can think of it as Shikishimi plus 2 extra guns. And then you have Hanover, which is a version of the Project H-42. It's also an 8-gun battleship with 483mm guns. But in order to use these ships, you're going to have to obtain some sort of special resource, which would be intelligence reports. They didn't mention how to obtain it, so that'll probably come later as the concept is fully realized. In addition to the super battleships, they're also adding a adjustment environment mechanic. The TLDR is that the more you shoot, you build up a certain meter, and when you fulfill that meter, you get a gameplay bonus. They didn't go into too specific on what gameplay bonuses are active, but it basically encourages the super battleships to constantly shoot.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool mechanic, and if you look at the size of those two ships compared to the Yamato, it's a huge difference. They are massive. And the thing is that these battleships will be fighting against tier 9s and 10s. So they're pretty much tier 11s, if you want to think about that. And also, this game mode, it's pretty much an alternate reality where CVs were never a thing. And the continuation of battleships, they were going to bigger and bigger would have happened. That's what this game mode is.
They're kind of, you can think of it as more extreme ships. You're introducing 2 battleships with Yamato-like overmatch. They're going to be huge ships, so you're probably expecting well above at least Kremlin levels of HP pools, and probably well above it too.
It's going to be way above it if they're fighting tier 8 and 9s. I'm expecting at least 200,000.
So yeah, you're seeing gradually more extreme ships. Like, as a Shimakaze player, I'm pretty sure they're happy with having a new target to shoot at. Same thing with the Sashio players. But for the Minotaur, she's kind of crying that whenever a battleship shoots at her. And now you're introducing a even bigger battleship.
Yep.
And then, of course, there's the tier 9 battleships and even tier 10 battleships that are going to wonder, why are we getting overmatched by even more ships now?
Yup. For the final thing in the dev blog, it talked about the attack aircraft changes. So it's where whenever the rockets of the attack planes launches an attack, the first stage of the attack will be it fires machine guns in the direction of the rocket launch. This is historically accurate since rocket attack aircraft would shoot machine guns to make sure they were aiming at the right spots on the ships, and then they would launch the rockets after they figured out, okay, I'm at the right spot, to make sure the rockets would hit their target. So I feel like this little bit of realism is really nice. I think it's really cool. This also will make it increase the attack timer, and this will also allow destroyers to be able to see where the attack is, so they're more likely to be able to dodge, quote unquote dodge, the attack. So it's say like a fast ship like a Kleber or a Marceau, they will more likely be able to dodge these rocket attacks since they're so maneuverable and so fast. So this will definitely be an interesting mechanic for sure.
At the same time, it's addressing one part of the problem against destroyers versus carriers. The other issue is that is not fixed at all is the spotting. Oftentimes, yeah, I can angle to the attack aircraft and take less damage, and then that light cruiser or whatever, or even that battleship is going to take aim at me because they know I'm locked in while I'm trying to dodge the rockets. So I'm going to get hit. Probably going to get hit regardless, unless I'm very far from the action. It's a common problem for destroyers fighting against carriers, just being detected at the wrong times. This change means that the rockets are going to deal less direct damage, and instead, good players will still be annoyed by being spotted at the exact wrong time and having half the team shoot at them. So it's a start, but I think Wargaming should also address the spotting issue.
We've definitely talked about this in the past with trying to get it where CVs do not, they can't provide permanent spotting for their team, where it's more the fact that it's on a mini-map instead. Most CV players or top CV players would agree that if that happened, it'd be a lot more balanced in the game. But at the same time, though, we haven't seen any moves on that in the future, so we'll see in the future. But yeah, though, I'm definitely excited about this dev blog. The Super Battleship mode is definitely something I'm really excited to see. We'll just have to see how it goes on in the future since we weren't given that much information. Is there anything else do you think we should add?
Nope, that's really about it for the dev blog. So we'll have to see how the change to actually affect World of Warships and what makes it from dev blog to live or even into testing, because a lot of things will change.
Yep, it definitely will be. But yeah, thank you so much again, ST, for your time today, brother. I appreciate you, man. I'll see you guys all next time and talk to y'all later. Hey guys, this is OverLordBou. Just want to thank y'all for watching today's video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. I love reading your guys' comments. I'll see you guys in the next video.